Welcome to the Hive, you bees, and thank you for stepping by the channel. We're live today everywhere, so enjoy the show. We have a really nice show today about the 2006 United States Speedway Nationals at the Costa Mesa Speedway. Did you go to that race? I know most of you were alive in 2006. It was a great night. But we have some really great people coming on this Saturday morning at 9 a.m. We have Bruce the Fox Penhall, the world champion, the two-time world champion. He's going to be visiting us in the Hive. And on Thursday, I believe it is, we have at night at 6, we have Larry Motormouth Huffman. He speaks 300 words a minute. I don't know if he can do that today. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And today we're going to talk about the 2006 Speedway National Championship. And we're going to show you a picture of some of the riders that were in that event. There's Chris Manchester, Josh Larson, Gary Gorgeous Hicks, Sean Mad Dog. There's Brian Yarrow. He had an excellent night. There's Mike Faria, flying Mike Faria. Do you know Mike Faria? And there's some other ones. There's Scotty Brandt, a United States champion. Bobby Boogaloo Schwartz. And there's Randy DeFrancisco. And there's Nate Perkins, Nasty Nate, Fast Eddie. These are all guys. Dookie Ermolenko. These are all guys that were in that race. We're showing you them here. There's Chris Firecracker. And there's battling Buck Blair, the Stinger. He was a bumblebee back in that time. He was riding for me. And then we have Tommy Hedden. He's a good rider. And then we have the winner. This was the winner of the 2006 United States Speedway Champion, Charlie the Edge Venegas. Charlie was the winner. And then we have Sean Harmatuck. We have all these good riders. Mark Dwyer. And then we have the program. I actually scored this program. I can't believe it. I was actually scoring a national championship program. I think that's it. Let's see. We got any more riders? I guess not. Let's see. Oh, I sponsored that night. There's Buck Blair, my business, my old business, the Rain Gutters. I was on the program. And then there I am riding right there, that guy that's not falling down. Actually, there was some mud, if you see, on my left leg. The first race of the night, it was very muddy, and I actually fell down that night, and that particular race night, and I got up and I won the main. So I fell, began the night, and I won the main. And there I am right there. High five, Bumblebee number 77. Yeah, we like that. And we have Buck Blair over here. He was a bumblebee battling Buck Blair. He was a bad dude on a speedway bike. He could ride a bike, but he had kind of a bad night that night. There's Buck and I racing against him. Two bumblebees on the starting line at the same time at the City Ministry. And we won. I don't think I beat Buck that night because he's good. So here's the program cover that night. The 2006 Speedway National Championship, September 16th at the Orange County. There's Chris Manchester. He was the champion the year before in 2005. Chris the Kid, he won the United States Championship, but he didn't win it in 2006. I think that's the last time he won a national championship. I'm not sure. Today, we're going to talk about the 2006 National Championship. And it was a packed house. There was lots of people. It was full. I was there, too. I sponsored that event, so I could be there. And I was a special VIP and sponsored one of the races. So that was a lot of fun. And Charlie the Edge Venegas, the Edge, took his second United States National Championship home. He rode really good. He was riding that outside, Charlie, and he was really cooking. Charlie had a good ride and a good night that night, but we're going to talk about it right now. And the final, it had Charlie the Edge Venegas and Chris the Kid Manchester. The defending United States champion was there, Chris Manchester. And they were tied with 11 points. So Chris the Kid and Charlie the Edge, they went ahead and had 11 points, which is really great. And they had a coin toss to decide like what position was going to be where. Back in the old days, yesterday we talked about they went ahead and they raced to the starting line. Whoever got there first, was like the pole rider. But in these modern days, these high-tech days, we don't do that anymore. We go ahead and flip the coin like heads or tails. And the winner gets to choose whatever position they want. And Charlie the Edge was lucky that night. It was his lucky night. He won that position, and he decided to go for pole position. Smart guy. You always do better at the pole position. That was one of my favorites at Costa Mesa. And Manchester had to take gate 2 because he lost that coin toss. He took gate 2, which is probably the next best gate, I guess. And then the 3-time defending national champion, Mike Faria. Flying Mike Faria. We want to get him on the show. He's going to come, and then he's lost his computer or something. And he went ahead and had gate 3. And Brian Yarrow had gate 4. And Josh Larson ended up with a final spot in gate 5. It kind of went ding, 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 ding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the pecking order got what they got. So the tapes went up. The race actually started. And Venegas was the first guy off the line. He was like rocketing off on gate 1. And then he went ahead and went deep. He started his turn a little late in that race. I watched that race. And he went ahead and like pushed everyone out to the wall kind of. And he went ahead and like had a lot of traction out there. So that was actually a smart ride by Charlie the Edge to start off, and he kind of pushed everybody out to the side there. And he had a lot of cushion. Faria, though, Flying Mike on gate 3, he saw that Venegas went a little wide, so he did a hook back. A hook back is a famous Dub Farrell move when you're riding like at gate 3, and then you slow down a little bit, and then you hook back. And that's what Mike Faria did that race. He did a hook back, and he went on the pole trying to gain that pole position from Charlie the Edge Venegas. And so that was pretty cool. Venegas, he found good traction on the outside. Charlie was not going to be denied by Flying Mike that night. And he went ahead and just got lots of traction. Manchester and Larson chased Faria. So it was Venegas, Faria, Manchester, and Larson. So they went ahead and chased him. And it was a 3-rider race for second place. Charlie the Edge Venegas was gone. He was gone to San Bernardino or Auburn or wherever that guy lives. He was gone. And so they were racing for second place basically the whole race because Charlie was smart. I watched that race and Charlie did good. He was flying. Actually, that was probably one of Charlie's smartest and best races. We talked yesterday about the Speedway race, and you have to be smart, like use your mind. And Charlie really did that. He went ahead and said, if I push everybody out wide, I get traction, and I block everybody, and then I can cut back with lots of traction on that track. It was a beautiful track that night. I mean, Brad went ahead and made a beautiful track. It was gorgeous, and it was smooth as glass. There was no holes in it, and it was a fast track with some dirt on the outside. So it was a great night of racing. Congratulations and kudos to Brad Oxley for making a beautiful 2006 Speedway National track. It was amazing. I mean, it was gorgeous from the beginning. I remember that track. It was the best track I ever saw that night. It was gorgeous. So anyways, they were fighting for second place, and but nothing would change. And also Venegas won his second United States Speedway champion. Nobody could beat Charlie the Edge Venegas that night. He was on fire. So Chris the Kid Manchester, the defending United States Speedway Championship, had to settle for second place. I'm sure he wasn't very happy. You always want to be the national champion, not the runner-up. But he was in the year before, so it's okay. He already won, so give Charlie another national championship. And Flying Mike ended up third place. Brian Yarrow, he finished fourth. And Josh Larson, I think he crashed or something. He had an engine failure or something. He ended up in fifth place. So the top 20 riders of the field, there was 20 riders that night, and they had 4 rounds. So they had 3, 6, 9. So it's possible 12 points, right? 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, that's 12 points. Charlie and Chris got 11, so they did pretty good that night. 11 out of 12, not bad. Take that one. So there was 20 riders, and what they did is the top 10 scores, the riders in the top 10 of that night out of 20, they got to advance to the semis. And there was 5 riders, so 5 riders in semi 1 and 5 riders in semi 2 for the 10 riders. And that's kind of how they did semis. That's pretty exciting when you have 5 guys scratch for the semi. I mean, it was good racing. And it was a lot of fun to watch. 5 guys lining up. And the top 2 from each semi went directly to the main. It's like Monopoly. They say, go to jail. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go to jail. And those riders in the top 2 didn't go to jail. They went to the main event for the United States Speedway National Championship. So you want to be 1 or 2, and you're doing really good. And there was 5 riders that night. And the 3rd and 4th place riders went to the last chance. And 1 rider in the last chance advances to the main event. So that was pretty cool. There was a last chance race, and they got to advance. So they had 2 riders in the first semi, 2 riders in the second semi, and the last chance had 1 advanced rider. And the rest of the guys who didn't advance, guess what? They were like this. They were going fishing. Like, let's go fishing to Cabo San Lucas. We want to catch those big marlin. No, you must watch the races. I don't care if you lost. You must enjoy this main event. It was a bomb. So nobody was fishing, but their night was done. So just fishing, I guess. And so that was really cool. And so anyways, went ahead and they went ahead and started the main event. The first race, actually, the main event was over. We talked about that already. But the first race of the night on race 1 was really a great race. The track was smooth. It was perfect. And Brian Yarrow went ahead and really did well. You know, he really just smoked him. I mean, Brian Yarrow came out that first race, I remember, and he was flying. And I'm like, oh, no, Brian Yarrow, he's going to win the main event because he was so good. And number 8, he was just amazing. He just blew everybody away. So that was a great starting first race for Brian Yarrow. And then the race 2 restarted when the Raiders of the Lost Ark, when the rider that I sponsored, Buck Blair, he was riding my JP, not JP, I don't have a JP. He was riding my Jawa 889, and he went ahead and crashed my bike and destroyed my bike. So the second race, I was in the stands behind the announcer, like, oh, there's my rider. Yeah. And then he went on turn 3 and 4 and like wiped out into the wall, and my bike was bent, and they went ahead and they had to carry the bike like back to the pits like this. And I'm like, oh no, this is not the way you want to start the national championship. You know, if you have a sponsorship and it is your rider smash into the wall and ruin your bike. I had a beautiful new Jawa that I won at that auction at Long Beach, and I let Buck ride it that year, and that was just really sad way to start the night. And so anyways, that's kind of what happened. Venegas was in that race, and it restarted. Charlie the Edge Venegas, the winner of that 2006 National Championship, he won his opening race on race 2 with Bobby Boogaloo Sports in second, And I think Buck Blair got last place in that race. He used a backup bike and he didn't do very good. So Venegas ended up winning that first heat. And then the next race, heat 3, was Mike Faria. He had a great start. I mean, Mike Faria, flying Mike Faria is a good rider. And he went ahead and cruised to that victory. He was flying. That's why they call Mike Flying Mike Faria, because he was not going to be denied. And he was great. He rode that cushion, and it was really great. And so on the fourth race, Manchester started, and he went ahead and beat Sean Mad Dog McConnell and Randy D. Francisco, and they to take home the win. And in the 2003 national championship, the next race, Scotty Brandt, he won one national championship in 2003. So a couple years before Scotty won that national championship, and he won the next year. Actually, it was his first time racing in like 2 or 3 years. Scotty Brandt is an amazing rider. I mean, that guy's badass. He got on a bike and he's fast and he's scary. And Scotty Brandt also has a dad, I think, who's a good engine builder. And, you know, they just really they're really good. I mean, the Scotty Brandt was amazing. He went ahead and won the next race. And and then Tommy Hedden, who ended up falling, and then Brandt won. So Hedden was actually doing really good that race, and then he went ahead and got a little wild and then fell. Hedden, and then Scotty Brandt went ahead and won that particular race. And then the next race, the last race of the first round, they had 4 rounds, remember, and they had 4 riders in each race. And the next one, Josh Larson, number 2, he won that race. And he was the last person in the first round to race. Chris Kerr, in his return from England, he was racing in the Premier League in England, and he came back and he ended up in second place. He passed Dale Ficini. Do you remember Dale Ficini? He was like a rookie of the year, and he was a nice, good rider. And he ended up quitting Speedway, but he was good. And so he ended up in third place, Dale. And Chris Firecracker ended up in second place on that particular, the last race of the first round. So now we go to the second round. We already finished the first round. It was really good. I mean, that racing was good. There was a couple crashes, but the track was beautiful, and it stayed beautiful all night long. And the second round started with Manchester. He scored his first victory of the night. He ended up second the first race, I believe, behind Venegas, and he won. He smoked. He looked really good. Chris was on fire, and he won the second race. And the second second round, went to Brian Yarrow. He won back-to-back races. Remember, he started race 1 with an amazing race, and then he started race 2 in the second round and had another amazing race. I'm like, uh-oh, Yarrow is going to go ahead and win this national championship, because Brian Yarrow was on fire. He was really amazing. I was like, wow, he was fire. And then in the next race, the third one in round 2, Hedden beat Firecracker in race number 8. So Tommy Hedden kind of had a bad first race. I think he fell down or something. Then he came back and won the next race. So Tommy Hedden was and is an amazing rider. I think he's still riding today. He's a great rider. And then the next race was Faria won the second straight race over Scotty Brandt in race number 9. So Flying Mike Faria was on fire. He won his second straight race. He won the race number 3, I think it was, 2 or 3. And then he won race number 9. And Flying Mike was on fire. So you had all these guys. You had Venegas on fire. You had Yarrow on fire. And you had Flying Mike Faria on fire. It was really great. And so Larson and Venegas, they lined up side by side. Larson led turn 1, but went wide in the next race to get on the outside to get some traction. And he cut off Venegas. Venegas tried to find traction to pass Larson, but Venegas was finally unsuccessful. Remember, he lost the point? Well, this is where he lost the point. He had 11 points, and he lost that 1 point to Josh Larson, because Josh Larson kind of outrode Charlie Venegas in this race. So he went ahead and lost his first race. He got second place, so that's not really too bad. He got 2 points, but he went ahead and got second in that particular race. And Josh Larson went ahead and won. Josh Larson's an amazing rider. He won a few California state championships, and he raced in England, and he was just an amazing rider. The next race, in race 11, Chris Manchester won 2 in a row. He won race 6 on the second round, and he won race 11. So Chris Manchester was looking really good. He dropped a point at the beginning to Venegas. Then he was on a winning streak, win. And Chris looked like he was on. Now Chris is in the mix. He looks like he's going to be. So you have like 3 or 4 riders that look like they're going to be like in the mix for the championship. And that was great. And then heat 12, Hedden won again. So Tommy Hedden fell down his first race, and then he started winning. And so, oh no, we have Tommy Hedden now in the mix for the championship. It was really great. And that was race 12, Hedden won. And then race 13 was very close. Firecracker, Chris Kerr, he ran into the back wheel of Bobby Boogaloo Schwartz and knocked Bobby off the line. And Kerr went down. Kerr hit Bobby Schwartz's back tire, and then Kerr fell down. And it was really a crazy race. And Yarrow went ahead and passed Hicks for the win. So Yarrow had 3 straight wins. And he went ahead. He was having a perfect. He had 9 points at that time. So, Yarrow looked like he was unstoppable. I mean, like I said, Yarrow had a good night. And he looked like he was going to win that national championship for sure. That was race 13. Yarrow won. And then on race 14, Josh Larson, he kept pace with Yarrow by winning his 3rd race. And so he ahead of Fast Eddie Castro. And so that was really good. And race 14, let's see, Venegas ran away with his, I think it was 3rd straight win. But actually, he didn't win. He settled for 2nd place. So he was trying. That was his, point he dropped. So anyways, he went ahead and dropped that point. And after 3 rounds, it was Larson and Yarrow with perfect scores. We had 9 points with Josh Larson and Brian Yarrow. They both look great. I mean, if you get 9 points out of 3 rides, you're looking pretty good. But Brian was on fire, and Josh Larson was definitely on fire. Perfect score. Followed by Chris the Kid Manchester, Charlie Venegas, and Flying Mike Faria with 8 points. And behind that was Scotty Brandt, the amazing Scotty with 7, and Tommy Hedden with those 2 wins for 6 points. He fell, and then he got 2 first. So Tommy Hedden was doing pretty good after that first fall. And then we went ahead to the next round, and Manchester beat Hicks in the final round in Heat 16. Chris, the Kid, was on fire. He kept going and going. I think he just dropped a point or so, and he was really on fire. He won Heat 16. And Venegas went ahead with his 3rd straight win over Scotty Brandt in Heat 17. So it was really, Venegas was on fire too. I mean, it was really great. And on Heat 18, it was Yarrow with a perfect score. He had gate 2 and dropping only 1 point ahead. And gate 3, Larson was in gate 4 with a perfect score. So they had all these guys in this Heat 18 with perfect scores. And the crowd went crazy. It was actually the Heat 18 was probably one of the best races of the night. It was just amazing. And Hedden went ahead and passed Mike Faria on the outside. He went ahead and passed Flying Mike Faria for the win. The crowd was going wild. Hedden was on fire. He started off bad with the crash. Then he picked it up with like 3 straight wins. Tommy Hedden really was riding that Nationals. Amazing to pass Mike Faria on the outside. You've got to be pretty good rider. And Josh Larson in that particular race, engine failure. So, and then the Yarrow had the thirst, was one of the most amazing riders that night with Hedden. But Larson went ahead and had an engine failure, so that was bad. So race 18 drew the crowd really excited, and it was just probably the race of the night because you had these undefeated guys. You had Larson, you had all these Yarrow. It was just amazing. You had Faria. I mean, you had all these guys that were like on the top. You stacked them up. You knew that was going to happen, right? It always does. So that was a great race. The next race was restarted, race 19, when Nasty Nate Perkins, number 13, I guess his number is 13. Is that bad luck? I'm not sure. But Nasty Nate went ahead and took out Randy Di Francisco. Randy Di Francisco. He took him out, and then ended up Tim Gomez. Tim Gomez. He went ahead and crashed. And so it was like these bodies were like spewed out all over the course, and they were on the straightaway, on turn 3, all these bodies, but they were alive bodies. They weren't dead bodies, but the bodies were everywhere on the track, in the straightaway and turn 3. Guys were like wiped out. So thank you, Nasty Nate, for that one, and that was pretty cool. And so on the restart, Bobby Boogaloo Schwartz took advantage of all that mayhem, and he beat Randy Di Francisco for the win, and Randy second place. That was Randy's, I think, only second place that night. And Bobby Boogaloo, the old veteran Bobby Boogaloo, the pairs champion with Bruce Penhall, he took home the win. So it was good to see Bobby winning, and Bobby continued his streak of great riding. And so the next race, the final race, I sponsored the race. And we had Buck Blair in there. I think he was on the pole. So they went ahead and put my rider on the pole, which is really good. And I was expecting a win, like, let's see, it was race 20. And there's race 20 there, right there, BBB Rain Gutters. You had Buck Blair, and then you had Chris Firecracker, you had Eddie Castro, and Sean Harmatek. And Eddie Castro had an amazing race on race 20. I sponsored that race. I was hoping my rider, Buck, would win. And I sponsored Eddie the next year. And Eddie Castro went ahead and took the 3 points right there. And Chris Firecracker took a second. Sean Harmatek took third. And my rider, Buck Blair, he got the goose egg. So I sponsored this race. And my rider went ahead and took a dump on me. So we're going to talk about that, Buck Blair. We're going to get Buck on the show like, hey, Buck, why you finished last in the race I sponsored? But it was okay because I sponsored Eddie Castro the next year. So it was fine. Eddie Castro had an amazing last race. He really did. He was riding good, hard. Nobody's going to beat Eddie Castro. He came out of nowhere because I don't think he won a race all night. And the race I sponsored, he blew everybody away. It was amazing what Eddie Castro did. So that's how that worked out. And I got a photo with Eddie Castro, and I got to go on the infield. It was really cool, and it was just nice. And, I love Eddie Castro, and I'm so happy that he won. And his race was just amazing. That race number 20, that was the last race. But the night wasn't over because they had, races going on. And Carl went ahead. Let's see, what happened here? So that's how that worked. And so anyways, after that, Schwartz and Kerr had a runoff for the final spot. Because remember, there was like 10 spots available. And Bobby Schwartz and Chris Kerr were at the bottom of the section for the points. And they had to figure out who was going to be in that semis. Was it going to be Bobby Schwartz or Firecracker? So they went ahead and had the runoff, and they both had 6 points on the night for that tie for the 10th and final spot. Chris Firecracker, he made a good start in that particular. It was like a match race, really, just a runoff to see who was going to win that race. And Schwartz tried to challenge Firecracker on the outside, back straightaway, but Bobby Schwartz is not an outside rider, and he was in trouble at that point. He could not pass Chris, and Chris went ahead for that win. So it was an amazing race for Chris Kerr and he went ahead. So Chris advanced, and Bobby Boogaloo Schwartz went fishing that night. He went home. He was done. So we have the field of 10 set. And we had the first semi-event. There was two. Remember, there were two semi-events that night. And the first semi-event, Charlie Venegas was first to the turn. Charlie Venegas, he's a good gator, I have to say. Charlie Venegas is a great rider. If you think Charlie Venegas is not a good rider, you're wrong. He's been around since 1980, and he's been winning ice championships, speedway championships, main events, best. I mean, he's won everything. Charlie Venegas was a legendary and is a legendary rider. Don't you forget it. And he was first to the turn with John Larson, and Chris Kerr followed close behind. They actually made contact and they lost momentum. And for Larson, Kerr crashed, and Hedden was behind Faria, and he blasted up the inside. And Faria went ahead and he went for second place. So Faria was a smart rider. All these guys were crashing and stuff like that. And Faria went ahead for the second place behind the. So the main event, the first two riders were set. It was Charlie, the Edge, Venegas taking home an easy, and nobody challenged him again. And Mike Faria with that smart ride on the pole, that cutback for the second place. So Faria got into that national championship by using his brains, and he had a really great ride. So they're going to the main, and Josh Larson and Tommy Hedden, who crashed, they were going to the last chance race, where only one rider advances, remember. So that was the end of the semi-1. It was Venegas and Faria moving on to the big show. And semi-2 followed semi-1. Does that make sense? 1, 2. Semi-2 was next. And Chris, the Kid Manchester, followed by Hicks down the back straightaway. Manchester pulled away from Hicks and was in hot pursuit. Hicks was hot in pursuit with Yarrow, and Yarrow moved Hicks off the line. So that was in turn 3, and Yarrow ended up second place. Yarrow he was riding good all night, remember? And Yarrow winning. And he went ahead and got the second place. So anyways, it was set. Those 4 riders were set. Now we have Chris, the Kid, Manchester, and the amazing Brian Yarrow advancing to the final main event. So that was great. And then you had Scotty Brandt and Eddie Castro moving backwards to the last chance. And so, but there was one more race, and that was the last chance, which was kind of a real genius way of doing the program. It made for really exciting racing to run those 5-man scratch heats and then have the last chance and then the semis with 5 guys each. It was really cool. It really made much better than 4. 4 is kind of boring. 5 is really exciting when you have 5 guys on the line. I like that one. It was fun, watch 5 guys like going for it to win the race. On the first turn, 5 guys diving for one spot. Like, wow, there's action, there's a lot going on. Who said Speedway is not a contact sport? It is a really it's a fun sport. And being a big guy, it's a lot of fun too when people are hitting you and bouncing off. But anyways, we won't talk about that today. And so the last chance race was happening. And that was the next race. Only the winner goes to the main event. 1 winner, not 2. 1. And the 4 guys or whatever in the race, other guys, are done for the night. They're gone, and they're going to have to watch and get dressed and get ready to sign autographs because their night is finished. So that was it. And Larson, where are we at here? So they had the last chance race, and everybody was set for the race there. It was Larson. He made a good start in the last chance. Brandt and Hedden crashed in turn 2. The race was actually flagged and restarted, and they just went ahead and Hedden went ahead. Let's see, where are we at here? Larson won the last chance, and he moved on to the final. Actually, they had a big crash, and Hedden crashed in turn 3. Brandt and Hedden, they wiped out. They probably got in a fight. I don't know. And it was the race actually restarted, and Larson took home the bacon that time. Larson had the bacon and eggs and the Dr. Seuss book, Green Eggs and Ham. Green eggs and ham, green eggs and ham. I do not like green eggs and ham. No, he took home the bacon, not the ham. Sorry. And so, anyways, so Larson won that race, and he was riding the outside line, and he blocked Tommy Hedden from advancing. So that was really good. Larson won, and he moved on to the final. So the final was set. The track condition remained perfect. It was beautiful final. It was like amazing. I mean, that was the best track ever that night. And Brad Oxley, like I said before, he made a perfect track and stayed perfect the whole night. I don't know how Brad does that. I would like to know. He really worked hard on that track that night. I'm positive. The crowd just loved the races. They were going crazy the whole night. It was really fun. It was the 38th consecutive year of the Costa Mesa Speedway hosting that United States National Championship. So it was really great at the Costa Mesa Bull Ring. And the National Championships was run every year, except for this last year. I think this year, 2020, they didn't do that. But all the years, until it was like 50 years, they ended up running the National Championships. So it was just amazing. It was a streak that, sad to say, ended. And the National Championship event is run every year. It's actually the last race at Costa Mesa. They have the National Championships. And so after the National Championships, Costa Mesa goes dark until the next race. And that was actually that year, 2006. The next race was the Spring Classic, September 30th, 2007. And I won the support main event up there, one of those trophies. I won that race, the opening night. I said, I practiced hard that offseason. I said, I'm going to go ahead and maybe win a main event, and I won a couple. So that was really good in 2007 on the Spring Classic. So they had a junior speedway race. They had a junior speedway race that night, and it was really good. They had like an intermission, and they went ahead. And Joey Holt, the amazing Joey. Where is Joey Holt? Do you know where Joey Holt is? Get his butt out there. Let's see Joey Holt in D1. And he won that race. And he beat the legendary Gino Manzares for second. We know who Gino is. He's a good rider. He's racing now. Where is Joey Holt? We don't know where Joey went. But Gino, he raced in England. He raced at Paris. Gino is an amazing rider. He was a junior rider back then. And he had like a lot of problems with his bikes. He had a lot of his equipment wasn't very good. So Gino, he suffered not with his talent, but his machines were kind of like subpar. And so Gino was always struggling. But he got second place on the national championship that night with the juniors. And he did really good. So congratulations, Gino Manzares, an amazing rider. And then third place was a rider that I ended up sponsoring. Well, he's a nice young rider named Dylan Black. Dylan got third place, and he's just a good, safe rider. He's not real aggressive, but he just rides real smooth, and he's a good rider. Dylan, I think he made his comeback this last year, so we want to see Dylan Black come back and race because he's just a nice, safe, steady rider. He's good, Dylan Black. And then we have the retired Rocco Scopoletti in fourth place. Rocco, I think he broke his back or something, and he had a horrible injury. And Rocco ended up retiring, and he works as a paramedic. And he's a nice guy. And Rocco really was a good rider, and he ended up having a horrible injury racing the 500s, and he retired permanently because of the injury from Speedway. And then we have Brad Papalardo for fifth place. And Brad went ahead and, he ended up being a D1 rider for a while. And Brad was a good rider. So we had all these good riders. And but we're missing Joey Holt from first division. All these guys were racing first and second division. But Joey Holt was there for a little while, too. So it'd be kind of fun to see Joey Holt back. But we don't know where Joey Holt is. Where's Joey Holt? So anyways, that was the 2006 National Championship. It was really great. And the 2005 National Championship was really good, and we had Chris the Kid Manchester. He won the year before. There's Chris with his trophy girl. I hope his wife didn't get mad when he saw with that girl. And Chris was the winner of that night. And Chris was an amazing rider. There was the year before, it looked like our winner, Charlie the Edge, was second place, and Mike Faria ended up third place. And there's a couple other pitchers, amazing Greg Hancock and Billy the Bullet Hamill. And then also there's three world championship champions in the picture. You got Jack Milne, and you got Sudden Sam, and we have Bruce Penhall. He's come on the show this Saturday at 9 o'clock. You won't want to miss Bruce the Fox Penhall in the hive. There he is in the far, I guess, left. I'm not sure where. You know what Bruce Penhall looks like. The handsome Bruce Penhall. He was an amazing guy, an amazing world champion. And he just was actually, I think it was the first world champion to win since Jack Milne. So you had Jack Milne, and then you had Bruce Penhall. Is that right? I think so, in 81. And so that was amazing. And Bruce won back-to-back world championships. And he retired after he won. I mean, he was the only rider in history to win back-to-back championships and say, adios, farewell, goodbye. And he went ahead and worked for the Chips TV show. He was a movie actor for a while. So, but Bruce Penhall was an amazing rider. And I think the TV show, they went ahead and they filmed a TV script, which I think I saw that one, where Bruce won the world championship. And then Bruce had the pressure of that 1982 Coliseum World Championship to go ahead and win the World Championship out of all those great riders. Dennis Segallo, Siggy, our favorite Siggy, was third, which was an amazing, congratulations, Dennis Segallo. It's an amazing race. And Collins ended up in second from England. But Bruce, the Fox Penhall, he took home the victory and his back-to-back World Championship. And it was just amazing that Bruce, you know, he was such a great rider. And then he just walked away from Speedway like, goodbye, see you later. So Bruce was legendary. And Bruce could have probably won a few more world championships if he kept riding. But it was time for him to move on. And we respect, you know, that. And we're talking to Bruce this Saturday morning in California time at 9 a.m. So you definitely want to stay tuned for Bruce the Fox. And he's just an amazing guy. He's one of the most amazing riders in United States history. He's ranked number one or number two best in America history. So Bruce Penhall has this amazing just resume of championships. He won 2 United States Speedway championships. So Bruce Penhall was just a really amazing guy and just an amazing rider. And we respect Bruce Penhall. He's like the Speedway god. Him and Greg Hancock are like, you know, you don't say anything bad to Bruce Penhall because he's the badass dude and he's amazing. So we're looking forward to seeing Bruce Penhall in the hive in this next week. So stay tuned for that. Saturday at 9 a.m. Be there. And so thank you so much. And we got Larry Huffman on the show on Thursday. We have Aaron Fox wanting to come on, 2-time United States Speedway champion. And we have a whole stack of other great riders that are going to come on the show. So stay tuned. We're working on it. And we want to thank you so much for watching the 2006 Speedway National Championship. The points that night, I'll go ahead and say those. Manchester and Venegas with 11. Mike Faria, Brian Yarrow with 10. Josh Larson, Tommy Hedden, Scott Brandt with 9. Gary Hicks, Eddie Castro with 10. Bobby Schwartz, Chris Firecracker with 6. Charles Ormalenko with 5. The Duke. Sean McConnell got 4. Then you had Harmatek, Ficini, Buck Blair with 3. Nate Perkins, Randy D. Francisco, Mark Dreyer with 2. And Tim Gomez with 1. So that's exactly how the 2006 Speedway Nationals ended up. It was really fun. I mean, if you missed that race, it was good. I ended up leaving right after Charlie won the main event, and he was happy. Charlie was doing wheelies, and it was a lot of people. So I had my car parked up there. So I'm like, goodbye. And I ran to my car and went home before all the traffic came because it was packed. I mean, there was like 7,000 people in that little stadium, and they were all like watching. Charlie was doing wheelies. It was fun. It was great. And I said goodbye. So that's what I'm going to say to you tonight. Goodbye. Thank you so much for watching the live stream of the 2006 Speedway Nationals at the Costa Mesa Fairgrounds, September 16, 2006. It was a fun event. And if you missed it, we shared it with you now. So thanks again for watching. Stay safe. When you ride your motorcycle, stay on two wheels. Keep it on the ground. No crashes. And we're going to see you next time.